Welcome, my audience, to another episode of Cotton. And today, my guest is Senior Advocate of Supreme Court, Sanjay Hegde. And I'm really delighted that you could spare some time for this interview. And Mr. Hegde is one of the finest I found at Supreme Court lawyers who mostly deals with constitutional and civil rights cases. And I think, is over 3 decades, he has appeared in several landmark cases, including matters arising from the 2002 Gujarat riots and the long-running Kaveri water dispute. He's also widely read. He's a good columnist and a very fine writer. So, Mr. Hagre, I have followed your writings for many years, and whenever your byline appears, I make it a point to read it.
Thank you.
Your recent piece in The Hindu moved me deeply. It read almost like an extended poetry. You wrote with great warmth about Lieutenant Colonel Kamalasan's quiet sensitivity during the parade. Yet that same sensitivity seems strikingly absent in while dealing with the case on the part of the army establishment, and if I could say so, also in the approach of the court. So, how do you like to respond to it?
Well, all of us are of the maybe of the view that the matter could be handled more sensitively. You see, here was a young person who had joined the army, who did everything that the army wanted. However, there was one particular parade, which is in the army called the Mandir Parade, or the religious parade, where the parade ends at the army Sarvadharmasthal, or at the place of worship of the regiment. Now, he is a very devout Protestant Christian. And the first commandment says that thou shalt not bow to, thou shalt have no other gods other than me. He could not, in good conscience, bow in the regimental dharmasthal, where it was not a place of worship of all faiths. In that particular regiment, there was only a gurdwara and a temple. So while he led his troops there, the troops would go in. He would stay out of the sanctum sanctorum in full required uniform, including tying a turban. But he would not go in or get into any position where he would be called upon to perform any religious ritual. Fine. All of us have certain little oddities, little eccentricities, or little things that our friends, our family, our organizations adjust for. Say, supposing I have mountain sickness. My family may not necessarily insist on going on a mountain vacation. So here was the army unit when his troops did not have any problem with him not actually getting into the religious place of worship. Of his commandants, the first commandment seemed to have a problem, or actually had a problem. He caused the problem. He said, no, everything in army life is fully regimented. If the regimental duty says go to the temple, you jolly well go to the temple. You can't do anything else. You can't say, I will go till the temple and stay outside. When he explained what his problem was, that is where the commandant should have backed off, or possibly sought further advice or whatever. But he tried to push it through. And he assigned extra duties, did a lot of things to sort of force him. The man was not coerced. He was then counseled by superiors, including a pastor who said, "Look, just conform. It doesn't harm your religious rituals." But if this man in good conscience said, "No, my faith says this, I cannot do anything else," this is where there had to be some kind of adjustment, accommodation, till such time as either the army decided that the ritual was not necessarily compulsory for all, or that an exception could be made in this case. Nothing of that kind was done. He was not even put up before a court martial where he could defend himself, where he could have called upon witnesses, where he could have called upon his men to say that, "Look, see, none of these people have a problem. I am commanding them. It doesn't make the slightest difference to them." Nothing of that kind. What happened was he was quietly dismissed from the army using what is constitutionally called the doctrine of pleasure. He was dismissed by the president. That was challenged later in the High Court. And the High Court at the admission stage said, "Look, there seems to be something wrong here. We do not believe the army could really act like this, but since it is in the name of the president, we request the Attorney General to take a look at it. And if necessary, come and assist us." Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have happened at the final hearing stage. The judges hearing the matter finally just said, "No, in an army, there is regimentation. You can't do ifs, buts, or no kintu parantu." And they upheld the dismissal, against which he came up in a special leave petition to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, "No, we will not interfere." Did the courts handle it sensitively? Yes, they handled it sensitively at the earlier stage. But then they said that there is only so much courts can do. If the courts cannot take over the administration, the courts cannot take over the army. If the army feels strongly about it, they did not want to get in there. I do believe there was scope for wiggle room. They could have, even the Supreme Court could possibly have asked the Attorney General or senior law officers to convey their concerns, or to ask them to have a relook. Nothing of that kind was done. So this is a case where the man had to choose between his commandment and his commandant. And that's the problem.
It's actually, I must say, it's a very sad thing. Sad thing in the sense that this man was summarily dismissed from the job. That's really, really very sad. Now, my second question, it seems at the heart of this case lies an old tension, the demands of military discipline versus the soldier's individual religious faith. Do you see these two as inevitably in conflict, or is reasonable accommodation possible between these two? Can we see that, okay, without compromising? On the one side is the army discipline, on the other side is the, as you have already said, on the other side is the faith of the person, individual faith of the person. So how could we reconcile these things? Is there no way to reconcile these two things?
No, the point is that there need not be a conflict. You can make a conflict out of anything. Equally, you can accommodate. The point is here, the army already has made exceptions, for instance, in the case of Sikhs. Now, can the army, there are certain places of worship or of respect where people are supposed to go bareheaded. But could the army ask a Sikh officer, say, "No, if that is the ritual and that is the requirement, you have to go bareheaded"? No. So they, at least as far as the Sikhs are concerned, the accommodation is written in the rules itself. Now, there are various other people, and many of them are not necessarily very fundamentalist or stick to the letter of their graven scripture. We all know many Sikhs who smoke. We all know many Muslims who drink. But faith is something so intensely personal that if a person has drawn a line, and if in a given situation there is accommodation possible, I don't see why it can't be. It is not as if the man is saying, look, you are asking me to go into a Gurdwara to save human lives. I will not do it because of my faith. That's not what he's saying. He is saying that in a routine manner, in a routine parade, I will participate in the parade till almost the last point possible. But that one last bit, please do not ask me to do. In fact, his pleadings themselves say that there were several times he was told that his promotions were denied. He was made to undergo certain punishments and all that. And he was told that all that would stop if he only did a halfway bow. But no, if your conscience does not allow, the question is, because of regimentation, can it be enforced?
No, and the thing is, actually, when it comes to personal belief, one also cannot, if it does not harm anybody, one also cannot say that actually there is no, I do not see that some kind of a fundamentalism here, because it is sacred. So far the person is concerned, it is sacred. It is as if he is going against his conscience. So some kind of sensitivity is actually necessary here to understand these things. Personally, now I am a non-believer, but in my college days I had experienced something like this. When I was praying and somebody called and somebody was calling me, I was feeling very, very awful at that time. Now this particular case reminds me that okay, this is something sacrosanct for the person, and I do not think, I do not know how actually someone can be so harsh to him. Now coming to this, in your article you have mentioned something, two incidents very beautifully. Let me read it. In your article, you beautifully contrasted this case with two earlier moments: the Supreme Court's wisdom in the 1986 Kerala National Anthem case, and that small but graceful compromise at the Olympics that resolved potential standoff without a confrontation. Why in this instance we are seeing so much rigidity? We are actually in a roundabout way going to the same thing, but I think it is necessary. It is a thing. It is a case of single individual, but it is, that is why you have written that article with so much passion, and that is why I think I also, after reading that article, I was aware of these things, and I felt that we need to discuss this. It is not only a single instance. It says volumes about many things, and particularly about the army and about our judiciary. So these two incidents you made here so beautifully. If you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so the first instance was a case of the school children from Kerala who were strict Jehovah's Witnesses. Their families were Jehovah's Witnesses. So the Jehovah's Witnesses have a problem with recognizing nation states. So whenever the national anthem was sung in the school, they would stand up respectfully, but they would not sing the national anthem. When that became a political issue, the MLA of that place got them knocked out of school. They came to various courts, and when they came to the Supreme Court said, look, you cannot force somebody. See, can you force me to say any particular religious slogan? You are a non-believer. You are an atheist. Can somebody force you to say Jai Jagannath or Jai something or the other when you don't believe it? No. Equally, you could not force these children, and the Supreme Court said our culture preaches tolerance. Our constitution demands tolerance. Let us practice tolerance. That was the first case. The other case was the one during the Paris Olympics, where there was a runner for England called Liddell. Liddell was a devout Christian who said that I will observe the Sabbath. And the Sabbath, as you and your viewers know, is the day of rest, the Sunday. And on that day, no work can be done. And what happened was that he had participated in the run-up, and consequently, when the finals fell on the Sabbath, he said, no, I can't run. This is work. That was my religious belief and all. So then it was arranged that he would not run that race. Somebody else would run, but he was taken in another race for the same British team, and he won that on a different day. So this is it.
So beautiful.
When people say, look, I can't do this, my faith prohibits. You have a friend whose faith prohibits drinking alcohol. Will you say, no, if you are my friend, you will compulsorily drink at the cost of my friendship? No, you don't do that. That's all.
It's really. Now, my fourth question. Finally, how do we read this case in the current political climate of the country, where questions of faith, identity, and uniformity have become so surged?
See, there is a certain atmosphere in this country where belonging to the uniform whole is seen to be as being greater, and any assertion of individualism or of saying that, look, I am an individual, I think differently, that is looked down upon. We as a country are now almost at a stage where the slogan of Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan, or a kind of regimentation or of worship of one leader, of only one particular faith, is being seen as virtuous. And nobody dares stand out. So this kind of thinking has now gone into places of education and into the army also. The army anyway was a regimented one. So the army says that you will not deter from you will not detract from any ritual whatsoever, not by the slightest hair's breadth. We will not be accommodative. That is what is being lost. I once told a foreign relative, a white American relative of mine, that there are only two words that you need to know to get along in India, and it is kindly adjust. We are an infinitely adjustable people. We were. That adjustability is being replaced with rigidity and regimentation. And every attempt to say no, while I agree with most things, but on this one thing I cannot agree, that is seen almost as being treasonous. That is the real problem. People should remember that our constitution, while it starts by saying we the people, what does it say? That everybody is promised liberty, equality, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual.
Yes.
So individual dignity cannot be compromised. You cannot force uniformity. You can only seek it.
Two things actually you have said in your article also you emphasize on this thing. One is just now you said that this individual dignity, faith, and then on the other you say is tolerance. You actually emphasized a lot on tolerance, and that is what is also underlined by our constitution. And it seems both the things are in danger today. Now, in this small interview, you have explained the whole thing so beautifully. Now, I have come to the last question. The last question is we have seen, you have also explained that how, say, the India was a very accommodative, very tolerant society, and we have this from our freedom movement. Everybody, all kinds of people joining hands, working together for certain values, which were finally and seen in the preamble of our constitution. But now, when we have seen such values are being silenced, people very often say that, okay, last hope is the judiciary. Last hope is the judiciary. So, as an advocate, and particularly as someone who is mostly dealing with constitutional cases and civil rights cases, human rights cases, do you think that the judiciary, particularly the higher judiciary, has taken to this challenge?
See, long ago, at the height of the World War, before the tide of the war had turned, there was a ceremony to welcome people to becoming US citizens. One of the greatest US judges who didn't make it to the Supreme Court then, Justice Learned Hand, said something. I wonder whether we do not put too much trust in constitutions and courts. Liberty lies in the hearts of men and women. When it dies there, no court, no constitution can come to its aid. Courts will reflect what society says. If we get rigid and intolerant, courts often go the same way. So it is very necessary that we renew our constitutional vows. After all, what is a constitution? A constitution is not only apparatus for the state, it is also a contract between citizen and citizen, saying that these rights we give you and you give us. Whatever is your right is my right. And if your rights are taken away, my rights are also taken away. So therefore, please do not leave it only to the courts. Please talk, please think, please persuade as many people as possible that this country works on tolerance. After all, your great state of Assam is called Shankarazaner Desh.
Yes, yes.
So that is the spirit with which we have to go ahead.
Yeah, you have actually beautifully answered my question. Nobody can protect it unless the people, the core issue, the ball lies in the court of the people, not in anybody's court. So we have to be vigilant. We have to fight for it, and we have to claim it when it is actually, we have to, as the saying goes, that we have to claim our republic. And the people of India will have to claim our republic. So we have to be vigilant. We have to fight for it. I'm so happy. This is a small interview, but there's beautiful words, golden words, I must say, from you. And with this case, and I hope my viewers will also get inspired from this interview. It is a case of single individual, but it actually concerns each and every conscientious citizen of the country. And that is why we are discussing this thing today. And I'm so very happy that you could spare some time for the viewers of the Northeast now. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.